In the 1960s, a man killed 8 nursing students in their dormitory. This story has been portrayed in various television shows, including American Horror Stories. And it's a haunting reminder to never let a stranger into your home.
What you locked up for?
They count murder.
Did you kill him?
Sure I did.
Why?
Just one there night.
Hey guys, I'm Kendra Sommer, and welcome to True Crime Commute. True crime stories for your drive to work, school, or wherever you're headed. In Chicago in the mid-1960s, Richard Speck has been drinking all day. He's having a hard time landing a job. This man comes with a lengthy rap sheet and old habits that die hard. So Speck is in town visiting his sister Martha and her husband, and they're hoping that he finds employment at the National Maritime Union. In early July, Speck heads down to the union, fills out the paperwork, and is really hoping that something shakes out. Speck was given an assignment on the Sinclair oil tanker. It's about a 30-minute drive. He gets there only to find out that his spot has been taken. He drives back to the hiring hall. He's furious, but they're closed. The morning of the 13th, Martha and her husband, they drive down to visit Speck, and they end up parking right in front of the nursing student dorm. They give Richard $25 and they part ways. At this point, Richard Speck has been drinking all day. He stole a gun, and now he has a gun and a switchblade, and he heads back to the nursing student dorm. Speck breaks into the nursing student dorm, and then he goes and he knocks on the first door that he sees. A nursing student, Corazon Amaro, she opens the door and lets him in. She's a 23-year-old nursing exchange student from the Philippines. Speck puts a gun to Corazon's head and herds her and another exchange student into a room where there are more sleeping nursing students. Speck says that he's only trying to get money, but then he ends up tying up the women and taking them into another room one by one. The women said, Speck seems calm, and in theory, if we stay calm, we should be good. Suzanne Faris and Mary Ann Jordan, they return back to the dorm, and Suzanne is actually engaged to Mary Ann's brother, Phil. They had planned to talk about wedding plans that evening. Speck tackles Mary Ann and Suzanne upon entering the home, then he stabs them to death. Gloria Davis just came home. She had been out with her fiance and future mother-in-law. As soon as she walked in, Speck tied her up. He would later rape and murder Gloria. As the women waited, Speck would kill them one by one. The killings occurred in intervals of 20 to 30 minutes. When Speck wasn't looking, Corazon rolled off her bed and hid underneath it. He lost count of how many nursing students there were, so she stayed under that bed and listened to him kill and torture her friends for hours. Finally, after hours had passed, she came out, climbed out the window, and escaped, and then she alerted police of the killing spree. So Corazon was able to describe Speck to the police. She mentioned that he had Born to Raise Hell tattoo, and she was able to give a description of what he looked like so they could provide a sketch. So then after the killing spree, Speck goes back to drinking. He checks himself into the Star Motel, and somebody calls police. They've recognized him. The police don't take this seriously. They don't respond. And then Speck, thinking that he's about to be caught, goes back to his room and slits his wrists, attempts to take his own life. Then the front desk at the hotel gets word of this. They call emergency services, and he's taken to the hospital. A doctor recognized him from the sketch, and they also recognized the tattoo that said Born to Raise Hell. They alert authorities.
How do you feel like you put in those ladies?
Like I always felt. Had no feeling. And as I felt sorry, and like, no.
At the trial, Corazon identifies Speck as the killer. The jury found Speck guilty and recommended the death penalty on June 5th. The judge sentenced Speck to die in the electric chair, but granted an immediate stay pending automatic appeal. The Illinois Supreme Court upheld his conviction and death sentence on November 22nd, 1968, but in 1972, the death penalty was viewed as unconstitutional. On November 21st, 1972, in Illinois, a judge resentenced Speck from 400 to 1,200 years in prison. That's 8 consecutive sentences of 50 to 150 years. He was denied parole in 7 minutes at his first parole hearing. He died in prison in 1991. A day before his 50th birthday, he passed away of a heart attack. I wanted to finish the story talking about the female victims involved, giving a little bit of context to who they were in life. Nina Jo Schmel, 24. She loved her car. Her father actually had just purchased it for her. It was a Bel Air convertible in pale yellow. Her father could barely afford it, but he wanted to give it to his daughter. Her brother still has this car. Her family started a scholarship fund in her honor at Wheaton College. Patricia Ann Matusek, 20. Assertive, funny, and full of life, her sister Betty Jo named her daughter after her. She's buried in her nurse uniform and cap. Pamela Lee Wilkening, 21. In a photo in Life magazine after the crimes, Pam is shown sitting with her housemates. They're all wearing their normal clothes, and she's in her nurse uniform. Pam's brother Jack raced cars, and in June of '66, she went to one of his races. That was the last time he saw her. Mary Ann Jordan, 20. Mary Ann grew up hearing tales of her Irish grandmother. In the early 1900s, she was a surgical nurse at the University of Michigan. She had a brother with Down syndrome and enjoyed taking care of him, and that's another reason why she wanted to pursue her nursing path. Suzanne Ferris, 21. She liked making her own clothes. She also would make clothes for the girls as well. One girl in high school couldn't afford to buy a prom dress, so she made one for her. Valentina Pashan, 23. She was one of the Philippine nursing exchange students. She was part of the wave of Filipina nurse students who came to the U.S. to learn new things and work. Shortly after Valentina and several other of the Filipina nurse students arrived, the Chicago girls in the house threw a big welcoming party. Valentina would send back money to her family in the Philippines. Valentina was in bed when Speck came into the house. She initially hid in the closet, but was told by one of the other girls that the man was not going to hurt them and to come out. Merlita Garullo, 23. No one in her village had ever gone to America, so this exchange program was something Marletta was very excited about. She was pretty hardworking and had a great singing voice. She would sing when she did her laundry or dishes. She made $350 monthly at the hospital and would send that back to her family in the Philippines. She shared a room with Cora. Cora was the one who answered the door when Richard Speck knocked that night. Gloria Davis, 22. Gloria was born at the same hospital where she was currently studying to be a nurse. Her family says she was driven, intelligent, and headstrong. She was originally studying at Northern Illinois University as an English major, but then switched to nursing. She became the president of the Student Nurse Association of Illinois. Thanks for watching True Crime Commute, and if you have a story suggestion for us, send us an email here, and I'll see you on the next one.